Hello everyone, this is Bharat. I'm going to talk about smog problem in Delhi. Smog is something which is preventable. We have to find the root causes and implement the solution, and we need to do it quickly. Government needs to take action. They have to come up with the very stringent laws, and once the laws are put in place, they have to implement them. But these laws can only be implemented if we provide the infrastructure first. So government has to provide the infrastructure before they implement these laws. If we don't do it, we are putting entire population of Delhi into risk. That means every one of every citizen in New Delhi is under threat, basically a health threat, which can be very dangerous. And every citizen of Delhi and other cities, the first right is having a fresh air and clean water. That is their first right, and government has to provide that. So they have to get up and tell government representatives, that this is our first priority. We need to tackle this on an emergency basis. The main cause of pollution is vehicular pollution, and if we when we know that this is the main cause, we have to reduce number of cars. If you look at Delhi, we have over 10 million cars already, and 1400 cars are added every day. That means we are adding to this problem rather than providing any solution to this problem. Other problem in Delhi is that the diesel driven cars or diesel driven trucks. So any engines which use diesel are very dangerous for the environment, and it actually leads to it basically makes the smog problem worse. So we have to identify, and we have to ban all diesel trucks, diesel cars, diesel buses immediately. But what we can do is provide alternative. What are other things which we can do so that we could take these out and ban these. Second biggest problem in Delhi I see is because of the industrial pollution. If you look at Delhi, for example, surrounding areas, you have all these coal burning thermal power plants, and they basically add the different NOx, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, all these mix of deadly pollutants into the smog. So you have vehicular pollution, and now on top of that you have industrial pollution and pollution from coal burning thermal power plants. Third major problem I see is coming from burning of stubble, and I think the agriculture industry has to understand in India that all these farmer needs to be provided with infrastructure so that they could burn or have or take care of their agriculture waste through sustainable means. If you look at the map here, the NASA map, it tells you all the red dots. These are stubble burning locations. So you see all around Delhi, in Haryana and Punjab, they burn stubble every year, which adds to the smog problem in Delhi. So we need to put a ban on such burning, but we can only do that if we provide our farmers with alternative means of how to take care of this agriculture waste sustainably. So there are other alternative methods, and if you have to burn it, then you have to use incinerators which are closed door. So very important. And what we need to do is put a ban on national level so that nobody is allowed to burn anything, not only stubble but anything in the open. And if we want to bring the glory of India back, India is a beautiful country, from centuries it's been like a heaven on earth, and we have to if we have to bring this India back to what it is, actually we really need to make sure that we do not pollute our country. We have to love our country. Every citizen has to love our country, and only then we can bring that glory back. Otherwise we are doomed. What are the solutions? The solutions are that we have to first of all convert all our vehicle into electric vehicles. And I like Government of India's idea when they're saying that they're gonna convert all these vehicles by 2030 into electric vehicle. That's a great step in the right direction, and we probably need that much earlier than even 2030. Other thing we have to do is the buses. If you look at, for example, the local buses or any buses plying between cities, the government buses or private buses, all of those buses should be electric buses. It should not be diesel driven buses. So we have to convert all our cars and buses into electric. Third thing, I think what I see is that we have to look at other alternative means of creating energy. For example, solar power plants which creates electricity. Those are the most sustainable, and including hydroelectric power plants. Both are environment friendly, and that's what we have to adapt in India. Third problem I see in India is waste disposal. If you look at the solid waste disposal, there's no proper solid waste disposal in India. I mean, our streets in Delhi are the most dirtiest streets in anywhere in the world. I mean, I have to say this because if we don't say it, nobody's going to take any action on this. We have to accept that we are really we have very bad solid waste management in India. I mean, it doesn't exist. What we need to do is understand that this is the really serious problem, and it's a public health hazard, and government has to first provide the infrastructure. If you don't provide the infrastructure, we cannot do anything. We need garbage bins in every street, and we need underground disposal system rather than putting it on the street. Collect it underground, and we have to segregate the waste at the source. So be it at home, restaurants, or any business location, it has to be segregated according to what kind of waste it is, and then recycled. And when I say about the infrastructure, this is what I'm talking about, that this government has to provide this infrastructure to its public. It also includes thousands and thousands of trucks, the recycling trucks, which should be given to every municipality in every city of India. And basically if we have this infrastructure, we can take care of our solid waste problem. But government has to take that action and make it stringent law that nobody would throw garbage on the street just like that. But first of all, we need to provide the infrastructure, and who's going to do that? It's the government job who's going to provide that infrastructure. This should be done on a priority basis. And as I mentioned, that all the disposal of the waste on the street should be underground. If we have underground waste disposal system, that would avoid all the stinking problem we see in India, and it's gonna segregate the waste also and collect it also through different trucks and then send it to the recycling centers. Other new technologies which are available now are underground disposal system, which actually takes it to the recycling center directly rather than through trucks. That is another thing we can do. But if you look at the streets of Delhi, I mean this is so dirty. How can we clean these cities? Now we also need vacuum cleaning trucks. Very important. The vacuum cleaning trucks cleans the streets, and these streets should be cleaned every night. So every municipality in every corner of our country should have these trucks, and that is where we talk about infrastructure. That's going to cost billions of dollars, but we have to make this on a priority basis, because this is something which we really need in India if we want to make India really clean. Swatch Bharat means or equals having infrastructure, and we have to create that fund. Like defense budget, we should have environmental fund in India. Very important. Other problem I see is dust pollution in India, and this pollution is coming from the construction industry. And if we keep living like this, we're gonna be living in 2000 years back as we were living before. We have to tackle these problems head on. We have to put in place the laws which prevent this, and the construction industry should be held responsible if they are not following the law, and if the dust is still coming from construction. So we need to put those in laws and implement stringently so that construction industry follows it. And as I mentioned, vacuum trucks on the street will take care of more most of the dust. Other things we need in India which takes care of dust is, no, there should not be any land empty. It should be either covered with grass or trees. That is how you take care of the dust. So you know what, you need to plant all these trees and grass all around our highways, cities, streets, everywhere. These should be basically, numbers of trees should be planted. When we talk about smart cities, for example, smart cities also mean green cities. Smart cities also mean clean cities. And first priority in every smart city should be that they are both clean and green, and how we can keep them clean and green. And as I mentioned in my different solutions, we need to follow those stringently in each smart city, what we are planning for future in India. If we do not follow this, then I'm sure that no matter how much development we are going to do, but environmentally we're not gonna be as clean as the rest of the world, or be an example for rest of the world. So what we can do is plan now, put a separate budget for environment, and take care of this problem forever. It's going to take couple of decades, I would say 5 years to 10 years, but we can be one of the most cleanest country in the world. And that is my dream, and I hope it government of India listens to that. Thank you for watching.